Okay. So all of you can just listen here. Good evening to everyone. So we are going to discuss module 4. So what is module 4? So in the previous 3 modules we have seen what is an IoT, what are the sensors, what is the application of designing a IoT device, how to design an IoT device, and in the module 4 we are going to see in the further advanced one. So all of you can just make a note of that module 4. So the module name is Associated IoT Technologies. So here you are going to discuss about associated IoT technologies, wherein you will be discussing the cloud computing. In cloud computing, what are the topics we are going to discuss in cloud computing? So we will be going with introduction, then virtualization, then we will be going with cloud models, and further service level agreement in cloud computing, and cloud implementation, and sensor cloud service as a sensors as a service. So these are the topics which we are going to discuss for module 4. The main concept is what we are going to discuss here is cloud computing. Based on that, we will be discussing on virtualization, cloud models, service level agreement in cloud computing, cloud implementation, and sensor cloud. What will be the further? What is that we are going to discuss further? Yeah, we are going to discuss further IoT case studies, wherein we'll discuss on agriculture IoT. That is introduction and case study. So we'll be taking a case study of agriculture IoT, and we are going to discuss in detail what are its applications, how it is going to be implemented. All those things we will be discussing there. So this entire will cover your module 4. So module 4 will be cloud computing as well as IoT case study, wherein you will be discussing about agriculture IoT. In the next module again we will be studying some more cases. Okay. So you can just note down module 4, associated IoT technologies, and these are the topics which we are going to discuss in module 4. And then further, we have studied the course outcomes. What are the course outcomes we have studied? What are the 3 course outcomes we have already discussed? We have discussed course outcome 1, 2 and 3. The first course outcome is describe the evolution of IoT, IoT networking, components and addressing strategies in IoT, wherein we have discussed what is an IoT, what are the strategies, what is the computing process, all those things we have discussed in module 1, that is CO1. What is CO2? Classify various sensing devices and actuator types, where we have discussed on sensors, actuators, all those things we have discussed. What are the different sensors, what is its application, all those were discussed in CO2. What was CO3? Demonstrate the processing in IoT. So we have also completed recently what is the design process, how the design process of an IoT takes place, all those things, what are the key features you have to keep into consideration, all those things we have discussed in module 3. Now module 4 will be on CO4. What is that we are going to discuss further is analyze the associated IoT technologies. So what are the technologies associated with IoT, like our cloud computing and different processes, how it is going to implement when you are implementing an IoT application, how these technologies are going to support you. So we are going to discuss on analyze the associated IoT technologies, wherein we will be going with more with the design process and implementation of how the technological applications are there. All these things we will be discussing in module 4. So is that clear for all of you? So what is the first one? We are going to now discuss on associated IoT technologies and cloud computing. We are going to give a brief introduction about the cloud computing. What is the introduction about cloud computing? What do you know about cloud computing? See, till now we have dealt with sensors and all. You know that each sensor is connected to a device and you can measure all the parameters like pH, temperature, whatever parameters you are associated with. Any parameter you can measure based on your requirements. For that you will be using the specific sensor. Now, so you can say that sensor nodes are the key components of Internet of Things. Why? Because any Internet of Things, the starting component will be sensor, because you need to measure the devices or measure the parameters like temperature, pressure, humidity, then chemical composition, whatever it is there, whether the pH level, whatever you feel important for you as a sensing parameter, you can use the specific sensor and measure the whatever sensor, whatever components are means whatever sensing requirements are there for you for your further implementation. Okay, so you can say that these nodes are resource constrained in terms of storage, processing, as well as energy. So you have to know that whatever data you are going to take up, that has to be stored properly, it has to be utilized in a systematic way. You have to make sure that you have to conserve the energy as well. Then the devices are are connected and communicated with what? With one another by sharing the data what is required for you. So you can say that you'll be sharing the information from one node to another or one device to another. So you have to communicate with each other. What is that takes place in the IoT, isn't it? Then what else you do in that? You also make sure that enormous data what is generated, whatever data is generated because of the sensors and actuators and all these things, that data has to be maintained properly. You have to make sure that you have to make the data flow and the information flow has to take place properly. For that, you make sure that the cloud computing model. So cloud computing becomes an essential building block for the entire system to function properly. For example, you collect some information from one node, you collect some other information from another node, you have to do the transfer of information, data, all those things. So cloud computing plays a major role in this data transmission, analysis, processing, and all these features, whatever we have even discussed in module 3 as well. Okay. So you can say that cloud computing is more than whatever you see as the traditional computing facilities. For example, you are having some infrastructure facility where the computers are connected and you are transferring the information. There is no cloud involved in it, but you are using server, you are using database and cloud model and all those things. You are going to implement a cloud infrastructure wherein you make use of the computing capacity to do all the processing process and all those things. That is what you are going to do it. So cloud computing is more than the traditional computing facilities, whatever you come across, as well as you can say that it comprises of pools of multiple resources, such as what are the things associated with cloud computing? Servers, then we have even studied in the last class servers, then storage and network. From means it can be used for the storage of information, it can be used for the network transmission of information in a network from single to multiple users and all those things. You can use the cloud infrastructure. Then what else can be done? These resources can be allocated to the end users. So how? As per the requirement of payment basis. Payment basis means now you see, you use the electricity, you pay for it. You use the internet, you pay for it. So similarly, if you are using the cloud facility, you can pay for it and you can use it. Okay. So you might have seen you use Gmail and all those things. No, you want 1 terabyte of information. So where some specific is free for you. Some bit of information that data is free for you. But you want to go beyond that, you can pay and take that data from the cloud. So it is payment based as well. Okay. You can also see that some of the you might have also come across that. Have you ever got a facility to pay and take this cloud database? Not. Have you ever taken? You have taken. Okay, fine, good. So it is you can conserve or you can reserve your requirement, whatever it is there. You have to pay and you have to take that space. Okay. So we have the figure for that. Can you all see the figure? Where you can see the two types. One is the network computing. Network computing means the basic model. In the network computing, what you can see in the basic model, you can see that the user connected to many computing devices and it is interconnected to each other. So if you have a flow of information from the user, it will be taken to other devices and you will communicate with the devices and it will be taken back to the another user or another computing facilities and all. But next figure you can see what is that? Cloud computing. So what you can see in the cloud computing, you can see that user A, B, C and all it is interface with the help of a server or it can be connected with a cloud infrastructure facility where you can have database, you can have servers, you can have all the computing facilities where you can store the information as well as you can process the information. You can do all this process in the cloud database. Okay. Where you can do that processing, you can computing, you can transfer the information, you can store the information. All these things can be done. So this is what the two figures you can see there. One is the network computing as well as the second one is the cloud computing. So what you can understand here in the cloud architecture. What you can see here in the cloud architecture. In the cloud architecture, you can see that the end user can request for customized resources. So what is required for you? Your requirement is that you can customize it. It's not that somebody else's requirement. What is your requirement? You can customize based on your requirement. Okay. And you can say that you can take the storage space, then RAM, operating system and other software to the cloud service provider. You can say as cloud service provider as CPS. CPS, cloud service provider. So you might have done now, you may be using Collab and all for, you are using it or not? What do you think? Okay. You may be using it. So where you are running all these programs and all. So you are running all these things in the cloud itself. So you will be sending the mail, you will be storing the information. So many mails will be coming for you. Where is that being stored? Yeah. So all those things. So you can even take some of the portion of that by paying amount, and you can reserve it. You can customize it. You can make sure that what is the RAM capacity required for you. All those can be done. You can have a cloud service provider. So example can be you are using a Linux operating system for running an application for one of the cloud service provider. The other service provider can be Windows 10 also. Okay. So you can communicate with one service provider to another service provider. So you can see that the end user request for Windows 10 operating system for the cloud service provider for executing the application. Some of the applications need Windows 10, some of the applications need Linux. So it depends on the user which application he is running with. You might have practiced all these things in your day-to-day basis, is it not? So cloud service are accessible to anywhere at any time. For example, you are in your office, you are you have some set of files, you dump it in the cloud. Now you are not carrying your laptop. You go home, you can use another laptop and still keep working. You are doing it. You are using the rights and all, right? So you can dump the information and you can use the data without any problem. So you can say that some of the applications like you have Gmail, Facebook, Twitter are examples of cloud computing applications. Okay, you can also say that companies such as Amazon Web Service, you have heard about that? Okay. And Microsoft. So these are all cloud service providers who provide the facility for the users to use the amount of information, what means amount of data what is required or what are the customization process the user need. All these things can be done. You can also say that cloud computing comprises a shared pool of computing resources which are accessible dynamically. That's what I told. Wherever you are, whenever you are, you can access the information. Okay, dynamic and on-demand basis for the user. See, the user needs the information now. Any computer or any device you can log in and you can take out the information. So that is very much good for the users. Okay. So this is what we know. And what is the next one? So this shared pool of resources can be used to include network, storage, then processors and servers. And you can say that multiple users through a regular command line can be used for different lines of instances. And you can also say that like paying utility bills and all those things are based on this process. You may be paying so many utility bills and all those things. So you are knowing or unknowingly you are utilizing the facilities of this cloud computing, and you are most of the applications you are running based on this cloud computing. Okay, and cloud computing a user pays for the cloud services as per the duration of their resource usage. So like you are using for certain period of time, you have to pay for that and you use it. So most of the facilities can be utilized for as per the requirement of the user. Then cloud service providers, what we can say, it provides cloud service to the end user, organizations and all those things. So based on your requirement, you customize the entire process and you can use it. So you can make it user friendly, you can use it any point of time, anywhere. So many facilities are there. Okay. You have to pay and customize it as per your requirement. So that is all about the introduction. So we will stop it for today and we can continue with the next concept. What is that? Virtualization, isn't it? So we will be doing that in the next class. So we will stop it for today. You understood what is cloud computing in brief, right? So we will continue in the next class with virtualization and further process. So you have any doubts here? Is that clear for all of you?